Hey, I'm Matt. On my way to work, and let's see, the last car video I did was on my bucket list. One quick addition to that. I completely forgot. This has been on my bucket list for a long time. I want to see the NFL draft live and in person. It's been on my bucket list since it was at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. I always said I want to go to that building and see it, yet here they are now touring the country with it. So I still want to go see it. I don't think it'll be the same as when it was in Radio City Music Hall. But, okay, now let me get to the topic of this video. The topic of this video is fears, or fear in general. I'm going to describe the things that I fear. So, before I get started, I also want to encourage anyone else to make a video on your fears. So, yeah. Alright, here I go. And in no particular order, because I'm kind of just rambling. There's no order to this whatsoever. Some of these are going to be physical fears. Some of them are going to be psychological fears. And here we go. Sharks. It's not like I see a shark or if I... Like, okay, my wife is terrified of spiders and snakes. She can see a fake one. Even though she knows it's fake, she's still kind of scared. Me? I am afraid of sharks, but it's more of a respect for their power. I've held a baby shark in the wild. Camp Lejeune, we were fishing off the pier, and it was starting to get around dusk, and we started catching a whole bunch of baby sharks. And I held one. I have a picture somewhere of me holding one. I'm holding it like this, and it's like this close to my face. And I wasn't scared. Nobody else would take them off, but I was taking them off the hooks out of my buddies. And I was fascinated. I love Shark Week. Sharks are beautiful. I mean, streamlined, purpose-built. I mean, through evolution machines. Really? You see me driving and you want to try and sneak out in front of me. I mean, and I think that's where the fear comes in, that they are purpose-built, you know, top of the food chain. They are basically a missile of meat eating. And, you know, I don't fear them like, hey, kill all sharks. No, that's not how I am. I am fascinated by sharks. I love learning about sharks. In middle school, we had to do a project on any animal we chose. And I chose the shark. It was the brochure was on a planet to visit. I think this was, it was like a report, but it was like, I think in the form of a brochure or a poster. And so yeah, I'm fascinated by sharks. I do have nightmares about sharks, and in this nightmare my wife said I actually woke her up screaming. She thought that there was another female in the house because I dreamed that I was in the ocean and I was swimming, and to tell you the truth, I was back in the Marines, and there was a time when I was on a float that a float is on a Navy ship, and we were outside Suda Bay Creek in the Mediterranean, and I know that sharks are extremely rare in the Mediterranean. I know that. Okay, but in my dream, this is what was happening. I was in the Mediterranean, and they let the back of the boat down. It's basically just like a pickup tailgate, but it goes down even lower, not just 90, but it goes down lower. And they let it out, and mostly Marines, a few Navy do this, but mostly Marines, if that'll show you anything, because the Navy's like, no, I'm not getting in the water. but mostly Marines, and we run out there and run and jump in the water, and we're swimming, and literally we don't know how deep it is. I mean, it's deep. It is deep. And I had a dream that I was just swimming along out there, and then all of a sudden I looked down the water, which in my dream I had goggles, and the Marines I didn't. But I had goggles, and I looked down, and out of the shadows with the lights of water, like you can see the lines of water coming down out of the shadow, I see a shark just swimming straight up towards me, mouth open, because they're ambush predators a lot of times, swimming straight up towards me. And in my dream I scream, bubbles coming out of the mouth when you scream underwater. And I actually screamed in real life, woke my wife up. I woke up sweating. So yeah, that will be my first fear. Also, I'm not a fan of heights. I am not a fan of heights. I've looked up and I've seen these pictures of people climbing like the Empire State Building, and they get the selfie stick and they're as high as they can go on the Empire State Building, they take a selfie. I see that, and the words I say are hell no. Hell no. Nope, 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 nope. Sometimes if I think about it, I'm like in a taller building, which yes, Oklahoma has buildings over 2 or 3 levels. If I'm in a taller building and I think about it, I was like, you know what? If we traveled back in time and everyone was in the exact same place, I would just be hovering like 100 feet in the air right now. And I kind of get a little nervous. So, I don't like heights. It's not necessarily the fall that I'm scared of, it's the stop at the end. What's the name of that movie? It's based on a real life guy who put the high wire across the World Trade Centers, and I think the movie's called The Walk, I think. And like others, like the sharks, my fears fascinate me. I like to, dive into the psychology of like, well, why am I scared of the shark? And the shark, I'm scared of it because it's a perfect killing machine. I mean, it is. And not only that, with sharks, being in their world will kill me in 3 minutes. Being in their world will kill me in 3 minutes. Okay? It's not like I could, if for some chance I was able to, outmaneuver it or something. It's not like a lion where you could, climb a tree or jump into something, because sharks just being in their world will kill you. Even if you have let's say if you have you're scuba diving and you're in a cage and something happens to that cage, like, and I believe there's a movie called 47 Meters Down. In the cage, something happens, the cage just drops to the bottom of the ocean and it's being circled by sharks. You're eventually gonna die. Not by the sharks in it, but just from being in their world. That's another thing. Okay, but on to heights. I watched The Walk, and there were times I actually had to look away. Like, when it showed him up there, and also I freaked out when they went to cut the wire, and the guy is like on the side of the building, like a ledge that big, and he's just standing on the side of the building, and I'm like, no. Because you fall from that you're dead. You're dead. You are dead. And you would have quite a while to think about it. You would have quite a while to think about being dead, because it is really high up. Let's see, another fear. Let's see. I used to have this fear. Zombies. When I was a kid, there was this thing called USA Up All Night. They would show B movies and horror movies. This is where I was introduced to Troma, Toxic Avenger, Surf Nazis Must Die, Friday the 13th, the Living Dead movies, the Return of the Living Dead movies. This is where I was introduced to those as a kid. And I would sneak out my room on, it was either Friday night or Saturday night or both, because I wouldn't be able to sleep. And I would sneak out of my room and go into the living room, and literally I'd be watching TV. I'd be watching TV with me sitting with a pillow in my lap, literally a foot or two away from the TV, and I'd have the volume at like 3 or 4. And when something would happen, I'd constantly have the remote in my hand with the volume buttons. Something would happen where someone would scream, I'd turn it down, and then when it calmed down, I'd turn it back up, and I could barely hear it because I didn't want my parents to wake up. And I would sneak out of my room and go into the living room, and I would watch horror movies, and it was just, it scared me. I remember we were living in Ski Island, in that big house, and all the bedrooms were upstairs except my sister's was downstairs. We had a living room, and then we had a den. The den was perfect to do this in because it was, even though my parents' bedroom was directly on top of it, I could be a little louder. And I remember I was watching The Return of the Living Dead with the Gravedigger zombies and Linnea Quigley character, and they were in the graveyard, and you got the half zombie that on the table that's just screaming brains, and then you had the medical zombie that came in the canister, the big 55-gallon drum, and you had him. That terrified me. I was in middle school, and that terrified me. And I remember we had just gotten our yard sprayed, and it was the first time ever we got our yard sprayed. It was like springtime, and when they put that greenish blue dye down. This is the first time it ever got done. We ever had it done, and I was fascinated by that. But I remember I was laying in bed in my bedroom, or I was sitting in the middle of my bed, and I couldn't even lay down. I was just sitting down in my bed, just looking side to side. Every time I heard something, the wind blow or something, I'd be like, is that a zombie? How I got myself to sleep was I told myself and convinced myself that yard spray that they put down, that zombies could not cross that. I convinced myself of that zombies could not cross that. So that's how I got to sleep. And that's one of the reasons I love zombie movies today and zombie TV shows, was because I was scared of zombies, scared of zombies. And so I forced myself to, watch zombie movies, zombie shows and stuff. And so yeah. I got sharks. I got sharks. I got zombies, got heights. I guess being completely defenseless in a situation. And by what I mean by that, this is more of a psychological one. Feeling like you do not have any options in the matter. Basically, it's in the situations where you're in a situation, and this could be back to, bullies from when I was a kid, that no matter how you react, it's gonna, be worse. In some ways, when you're a kid, it's a bully. It's easier because now that I'm an adult, the way you take care of a bully is you stand up to them. But now that I'm adult, you have these people that treat you and talk to you however they want to. They call you names. They do all this stuff. They do stuff to you. Yet, no matter how you react, you are in the wrong. You are in the wrong no matter how you react. And this is how my relationship with my parents is. This is what happened with my supervisor on the belt when I was on the flat sorters at work. She would scream at me and cuss at me and yell at me, and I would just be like, okay, fine, I'm not gonna say shit. And she'd be like, excuse me, is that threatening language? And I'm like, you've just used the F word, this and that to me. She goes, no, I'm the boss here. And no wonder everyone's going slow. And just regardless of how I acted. Matter of fact, there was one girl who was constantly screaming at me. A coworker constantly screaming at me and yelling at me and throwing stuff at me, to include hitting me in the face with a wad of trash. And this is how I reacted. I said, excuse me, and I said her name. If you feel uncomfortable working around me, I will go work on a machine and you can pick someone to come over here and work on the belt with you. She replied with, I'm not uncomfortable, you are! And then went and told the supervisor that I threatened her. Quoted me word for word and told the supervisor that I threatened her. And yes, I got chewed out by the supervisor. And I was told that even though she was screaming at me, even though she was throwing stuff at me, that me saying anything at all is wrong. Because that coworker said that they do not like talking to me. And my reply to my supervisor was like, well, they don't like talking to me, then why the heck are they screaming at me all the time? So, yeah, just being in a situation where no matter how you react, you are in the wrong. I mentioned conversation with my parents. Okay? I'll have a conversation with my parents, and I'll bring up something that happened, that they did, that they said, and my dad would go, yes, we're sorry for that. And at the exact same time, my mom is screaming, you liar, that never happened. And I'm like, okay. And I will tell them exactly how I feel, and they twist it around. It's like, I asked them a question. Just a simple question. Hey, have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? Because this is what I am hearing, and I want to know if you've heard anything. So my mom ran to the other person and mentioned to them that I was going around telling everyone this, when I was like, hey, I just want to know if you've heard anything. And so, and when I brought that up, it was like, well, what do you expect? You're going around telling. And I'm like, all I did is ask you if you've heard anything. So that's why I had to tell my parents that we are no longer gonna speak, because they twist every single thing I say around. And I fear being in those situations that no matter how you react to outside treatment, you're automatically in the wrong. If I don't answer their phone calls, I'm in the wrong. They can be a mile away from my house and never once contact us. And they can be at an event, a family event, not like it's a family reunion or anything, but they can be at an event for families based around kids, and they're a mile from my house, never once contact us. They have my sister's kids there, but they never once contact us to take to see if my kids wanted to go, yet I'm in the wrong. This last Thanksgiving and Christmas, I was not invited my family was not invited to Thanksgiving and Christmas. When I asked them, hey, how come y'all didn't invite us? The reply I got from my mom was, well, you should have just known what time we were going to do it and should have just been there. And the issue with Christmas is I used to work overnights. Now I work in the evenings. They always wanted to have Thanksgiving and Christmas, like Thanksgiving at noon, and they wanted to do Christmas for the family and everything in the morning. And I'm like, I can't do that, especially the noon, because that would mean I would have to get home from work at 6 in the morning, stay up, getting everything ready, and then come home at 4 in the afternoon and try to get a couple hours of sleep before I got to get up and be at work at 8. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, I could do it at, 5, 6, or 7. That way I can get home from work, sleep for a few hours, and then get up and, and they were like, no, we're going to have it at noon and it boiled down to basically because my sister wanted to go shopping. But I was informed that I should have just known what time they were going to have it and shown up, which I have since been told that that's a lie. That was never said. And I just hate I hate being in those situations that regardless of how you react, you are in the wrong. You are in the wrong. I've even given my dad compliments and I was in the wrong. So, I used to tell my dad that, and this is how I would think. At work, I would treat other people and work to a point that I would tell myself, if this individual that's seeing me or that I'm working with meets my dad and they end up figuring out that he's my dad and that I work with him, I want my dad to be proud of how I handled myself. And I told my dad that. And somehow that was an insult. I don't know. So, but yeah, this has gotten way more downer than I intended it. I thought I was gonna, talk about, fears like sharks and stuff. Well, that one fear is a psychological fear, the last one. It's just it's essentially being in a no-win situation. It's being in a no-win situation. So, where no matter how you react, even if you stare straight forward, don't say a single thing, you're still the one in the wrong. So, and yes, I do wish I had a good relationship with my parents, but I'm to the point where that's not going to happen. Because growing up, I was always the one to blame. My sister would smoke cigarettes, even though I wasn't smoking, and it was my fault. I don't want to get into it. It's just been unfair treat. I'll say this in closing. My parents once told me that they were getting a divorce and it was all my fault. Those were my mom's exact words. She goes, your dad and I are getting a divorce and it is all your fault. So, yeah. Which my mom, to this day, says that that's a lie and that never happened. Yet my dad will be like, yes, son, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Yet my mom is screaming at the exact same time, that's a lie, that never happened. So basically, to handle those situations, I am choosing not to be in those situations. So, and yeah. But give me let's lighten this up. What else am I afraid of? Even though I'm almost at work, I am afraid of not a huge fan of snakes. Oh, with the shark thing, I wanted a pet shark. They have smaller sharks that you can have in an aquarium, I wanted a pet shark. Also, I wouldn't mind having a pet snake. When I was in the Marine Corps, I used to go running, and I always enjoyed like running through the woods, because it's not just boring straight level. You're having to adjust your foot angle because the ground's uneven, and you're jumping over sticks and logs and stuff. Well, I'd be running through the woods. I think that's called cross country or whatever. But I'd be running through the woods, and all of a sudden I'd come up to a snake, and I would just kind of stop, jog in place, let it cross the path, and then go. I wouldn't be scared or anything, but I'm like, I'm gonna respect it and give it its space. So yeah, that's I'm not a huge fan of snakes. Yeah. So my knee. I used to be scared of getting old. You know, I don't know if you knew me when I was younger. When I say younger, before my wife and I got married, my hair would be different colors. It'd be black. I'd bleach it blonde, and then I'd have it blonde, and then black spots and blue spots and red spots, and I would do all that. And I started doing all that because I would see a gray hair, and I'm like, nope. Because I was scared of getting old. But now, I don't know if you can see, but we're at gray in the beard, gray on the sides. And I've thought about dyeing my hair, but I'm like, no, I like the gray. So, my knee. But yeah, radio's been on. But yeah, I have to go into work. So in the comments below, tell me your fears. So yeah, bye. Also a huge fear. Getting up in front of, like, public speaking. In front of people. No. Which is weird because I have a YouTube channel. I talk to people, you know, but being physically in front of people, and yeah, I don't like that. Bye.